debris or dust in your face. None of the stuff really we're going to be working with today needs that, but just, you know, as a matter of course, if you're working on anything that's going to just throw sawdust or debris, keep your eyes protected with safety glasses or a face shield. I don't have any face shields, but anything to protect your eyes is good. Hearing, this is kind of a dirty little pouch here, but this is earplugs. Some of the tools that I work with, none of these really can be loud. If you're also if you're in some place like you're in an enclosed room and it's a loud tool, you know, you want to keep your hearing. So just put in some earplugs. Sometimes dust masks as well. We don't usually make a lot of dust in here, but those are things to think about. You know, your eyes, your ears, and your breathing. Cool. The other thing is the conduct of people around you. When you're in the space and people are working, if you're not working, don't distract people who are. You know, don't be showing somebody a funny cat video and they're trying to cut, you know, a piece of 2x4. Wait on that. You know, it sounds really stupid, but people, you know, people can forget that if you distract somebody, it only takes a moment, really, of distraction, and you could lose a body part. I've seen that happen. So, not that we don't have any big serious tools around here, but just you know, so we all know about that. Cool. All right. So probably the first thing you guys should learn about are measuring tools. So, I'm sure you've seen these before. Tape measure, right? Not too fancy. I do want to show you a way to mark and label something. Okay. So, when I'll show you this, and then later on we'll actually put it to use. But when you're measuring something and making a mark on something, first of all, if you look at the tape, you know, there's a series of marks on there, you know, 1 foot, you know, 1 inch through 1 foot, and all the way up to about 20 feet, I believe, on this tape measure. We all know where a 1/2 inch is, and 1/4 of an inch, and 3/4 of an inch, I assume. This measurement goes down to as small as a 1/16 of an inch. The big thing, though, when you're marking something, it's important that you make your mark clear. Like, you might be marking something for someone else to cut it. So you want to make sure that when you mark something, they understand, oh, that's where I want the mark to be. So if, for example, I want to cut this down, let's say I want to cut off a foot from this board. Take my tape measure, make sure that this end is on the end of what you're working on. It's nice and snug. Take my pencil, very useful thing to have, not pens or markers. Any reason why? We don't use pen or marker to mark things.
Erase.
Because why?
You can't erase.
You can't erase it, that's one reason. There's other reasons as well.
Maybe you decide to change your measurement.
You can change it. You can't erase it. That's one thing. Also, you know, a pencil is not gravity powered like an ink pen. So if I'm working up here, all the ink runs down to the bottom of my pen and I can't make a mark. The other thing is that markers and ink can bleed through when you paint over something. So if I make a mark and then I want to paint this later, that marker is going to keep bleeding through the paint, and then I'm going to have to go back and like put stain killer on it, and it's a big drag. Pencil won't do that. So pencil is what we mark with. So if I'm making a mark at 1 foot, I have it right here. Here's 1 foot, right? I'm going to make a mark on both sides of my little tape here, right? Both sides. So you can see the mark I made, right? There it is. Then, to make it really clear to the person who's going to be cutting this for me, I'm going to take either one of these things. These are called squares. They're not square, but they are square, but they're not squares, but they are squares. What they're for is you know, right here, this is a triangle, right? So right here we've got a 90-degree angle, and that's what we mean by something that's square. If it has a 90-degree angle, it's square. This is called the speed square. This one's called the combination square. I can move this piece of the square up or down if I want to, right? Which is kind of handy. It's also got a level inside there if I want to, you know, check level on something, on a piece of work. So either of these work pretty much the same way for what I'm talking about. So here's my mark, 1 foot. I'm going to take the combination square, but I could just as easily use the speed square. I lay it on here, right? And I make sure this part is nice and tight up against the wood, or if I was using this one, I would do the same on this piece, right? I make a mark. Now I've got a nice straight line, okay? I don't want to like make a mark and then, okay, there it is. Go ahead and cut it. No, I don't want that. Especially if I got something that needs to be nice and clean and tight and fit together well. Because something like that is going to make for tremendous headaches later on. Nice straight cut. So I make that mark. Also, I can put an X here. That means this is my leftover. I don't care about that. So when I'm cutting it, I know keep my blade on that side. So we'll go through making some marks and some cuts later. But I want to show you the basics of, what is this tool? Square. What kind specifically, do you remember? Exactly. And this one was the
Combination.
right combination. Excellent. So, cool. Moving along. These we've worked with before. Mat knives, right? Not a whole lot to say about these. The blades are replaceable, by the way, in case you didn't know that. That's why you can open this up and take out the blade. So when they get, with tools, surprisingly, you would think that a sharp tool is more dangerous than a dull one. Wrong. A sharp tool is safer than a dull tool. A dull tool gives you more resistance, and then you push harder, and then you increase your likelihood of injury. Any kind of bladed tool, you want it to be as sharp as possible. Even though that sounds totally like counterintuitive for safety. It's actually safer when the tool is sharp. So with this kind of knife, you can always replace the blade. Not much to say, just again, know where your other hand is and you will be pretty much fine. Scissors you know about. This is a little multi-tool, it's just mine. If you're ever looking to invest in a tool, this is such a good investment. Because they're great, you know? You've got little pliers in there. I once got it through TSA as well, believe it or not. I don't know how that happened. Little blade there, little screwdriver. I keep it around just because I have a lot of little options on my belt there. Even to have one at home is just a nice little multi-tool.
What do you call it?
It's called this one is called a Leatherman, but there's ones like Gerber's, there's different brands, but it's called a multi-tool. Yeah, just handy little thing. So cool, cutting.